Hi everyone, and welcome to Learning Objective 1-3. In this learning objective, we are going to calculate the periodic depletion, not depreciation, depletion of a natural resource. So what is depletion? Depletion is the allocation of the cost of natural resources. In other words, depletion is what we call depreciation if we're talking about natural resources. So if we had a building or a piece of equipment, we would say that we're allocating the cost over the useful life of the asset, and we would call that depreciation. We're going to take the same idea here for a natural resource, and we're going to allocate the cost of the natural resource over the life of the natural resource. Now, you remember from the prior video, Learning Objective 1-2, we said that straight line depreciation is a time-based method of depreciation where we take the asset's value and we allocate that cost, the original cost that we paid for the asset minus its residual value. We're going to spread that number out over its useful life. And then we moved into activity-based depreciation where we said, well, let's keep that same numerator. Let's take the original cost minus residual value and divide it instead, not by the useful life, but some measure of activity. How long do we think, how many units do we think we can produce with this particular machine? And that becomes our denominator. All right, so that was activity-based depreciation. Now, what we do with depletion is very similar to activity-based depreciation. What we're going to do is we're going to take the original value of the natural resource asset and spread it out over how much of that resource we think that we can extract from the asset over its useful life. So this is kind of abstract. Let's put this into a concrete example. So what you see on your screen now is an example problem, and what we're looking at here is a mining company. In 2021, Jackson Mining Company has the following 5 costs related to 500 acres of land in Pennsylvania. The first cost was the payment for the right to explore for a coal deposit. So this company, Jackson Mining, purchased the rights to explore a piece of land to find coal. The actual exploration cost for a coal deposit, right? So they also had to pay for actual exploration. There was also intangible development cost in digging and constructing the mine shaft. And then there was also expected cost to restore the land after extraction. And you should remember that as an asset retirement obligation, which we talked about in Intermediate 1. Okay? So all of that adds up to $2,768,360. Then you see in number 5 here, excavation equipment. So why is excavation equipment not included in that number, that previous total that I just read to you? Well, it's not included because excavation equipment is equipment. It's not a natural resource. It's a property, plant, and equipment asset that is distinct from a natural resource asset. And for that reason, we're going to treat this as a separate asset. And this separate asset will have depreciation, not depletion. So the first 4 costs, which add up to $2,768,360, will be allocated. Those costs will be allocated over the mine's useful life using depletion, whereas the excavation equipment will be allocated over the useful life of the excavation equipment using what's called depreciation. So depletion versus depreciation. Okay, so how do we calculate depletion? Well, the first thing to do is to figure out what is your depletion base. What is the original value of the natural resource asset? Here, the original value was $2,768,360. Then, in the denominator, similar to activity-based depreciation, we're going to say that we'll allocate this original cost of $2.8 million. We'll allocate that cost based on how many tons of coal we expect to be able to extract from the mine. Okay, we're going to use that as our denominator here. So if we do that calculation, 2.8 million or 2,768,360 divided by, we expect to extract 1 million tons total, that gives us a depletion per ton rate of $2.77, which means every time we extract 1 ton of coal from this mine, we will record depletion of $2.77. And so to calculate total depletion for the year on the mine, we would just take the number of tons we extracted in the current year, and in this problem it happens to be 300,000 tons, and we would multiply that by our depletion per ton rate, which is $2.77, and we would get a depletion amount of $830,508. And so what we can do is we can debit depletion, which is an expense like depreciation, and rather than say accumulated depletion, we'll just say we'll reduce the value of the coal mine directly. So we'll credit the coal mine and for the same amount. All right, well, this concludes our discussion of Learning Objective 1-2. I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching. I'll see you real soon. Take care.